Imagine walking alone through Ice Age Europe. It's getting dark, the temperature is dropping, and somewhere beyond your fire, something is watching you. Maybe it's a wolf, maybe a cave lion, maybe a hyena. And here's the part we tend to forget about the Ice Age. Humans weren't automatically at the top of the food chain. We shared the landscape with predators that were bigger, faster, stronger, and considerably better equipped for killing things than we were. So what animal should an Ice Age human actually have feared most? The obvious answer is probably the saber-toothed cat. It certainly looks correct. Smilodon had enormous canine teeth, powerful forelimbs, and a body designed for ambush. Instead of chasing prey over huge distances, it probably got close, overpowered the animal, and used those specialized teeth once the victim was controlled. Which is not something you'd want happening while your best weapon is essentially a sharpened stick. But there's a problem. Smilodon lived in the Americas. Humans living in Europe, Africa, and Asia faced completely different predators. So there probably isn't one universal answer. And in Ice Age Europe, one candidate becomes difficult to ignore. The cave lion. Despite the name, cave lions weren't necessarily spending their days hiding inside caves. Panthera spelaea ranged across huge parts of Eurasia and was generally larger than most modern lions. Large males may have approached 300 kilograms. Imagine a lion. Now make it bigger. Then imagine meeting it while walking home carrying fresh meat. Humans were physically terrible at fighting something like this alone. We have no claws. Our teeth are almost useless by carnivore standards. We're not particularly fast, and our skin offers basically zero protection against teeth. Take away weapons and cooperation, and the lion has almost every advantage. But humans had something lions didn't: fire, spears, and other humans. A cave lion approaching one isolated hunter has found a potential meal. A cave lion approaching 8 humans carrying spears and standing around a fire has found a terrible business opportunity. Predators have to calculate risk too. A serious injury can mean starvation, so even an animal capable of killing a human doesn't necessarily want to fight one. Which brings us to another predator: the cave hyena. And this one may have been an even bigger problem because hyenas wanted almost everything humans wanted: meat, carcasses, prey, caves. Ice Age cave hyenas were powerful relatives of modern spotted hyenas, equipped with extremely strong jaws capable of processing bone. But what made them dangerous wasn't simply their bite. It was competition. Humans hunted large herbivores. So did hyenas. Humans scavenged carcasses. So did hyenas. Humans needed caves for shelter. Hyenas used those too. Basically, imagine discovering another species that wants your house and your dinner, and has bone-crushing jaws. Archaeological sites show humans and hyenas repeatedly occupying some of the same caves at different times. That means their relationship wasn't simply predator and prey. They were competitors. And competition can create conflict far more often than predation. Then there were wolves. Today, their descendants sleep on couches and become emotionally devastated when dinner is 5 minutes late. Ice Age wolves were slightly different. They lived across enormous parts of the Northern Hemisphere and competed with humans for many of the same prey animals. Both species hunted socially. Both traveled long distances. Both relied on cooperation. In a strange way, wolves weren't just predators around humans. They were rivals doing a surprisingly similar job. And then something bizarre happened. Some of them eventually became our partners. The exact timeline of dog domestication is still debated, but the relationship between humans and wolves began deep in prehistory. Certain wolves probably discovered that staying near humans could provide access to scraps. Humans eventually gained warning, assistance, and companionship. One of our competitors slowly became the dog. So wolves were dangerous, but probably not the ultimate nightmare. What about bears? Now we have a serious contender. Ice Age Europe was home to enormous cave bears. Large males could weigh several hundred kilograms. And humans had one particularly awkward problem with them. We both liked caves. For humans, caves were incredibly valuable. They protected against wind, snow, rain, and freezing temperatures. Unfortunately, cave bears also used them, especially for hibernation. Imagine finding the perfect prehistoric apartment, warm, dry, protected from the wind, then discovering the previous tenant weighs half a ton and is still inside. Not ideal. But cave bears appear to have eaten largely plant-based diets, meaning they probably weren't specialized hunters of humans. They were incredibly dangerous when threatened, but they weren't necessarily stalking people for food. And this reveals something important. The animal most capable of killing you isn't automatically the animal most likely to do it. A woolly mammoth could kill a human almost instantly. So could a woolly rhinoceros. But neither was hunting humans. Usually, humans were hunting them, which might actually have made these herbivores some of the most dangerous animals Ice Age people regularly encountered. A mammoth could weigh several tons. Humans still walk toward it carrying spears. Why? Because one successful hunt could provide enormous amounts of meat, fat, hide, and bone. The reward was worth the risk. So sometimes the greatest animal threat wasn't hiding in the darkness. It was the enormous animal humans deliberately decided to annoy. But there's another candidate we rarely include. Another human. Homo sapiens lived alongside other human populations, including Neanderthals, and competition for territory and resources probably occurred, although exactly how often violent conflict happened remains difficult to determine. Humans also possess something lions and hyenas don't use in the same way: organized violence. A predator usually attacks because of food, defense, or territory. Humans can remember conflicts, build alliances, plan attacks, and use weapons from a distance. So if we're including humans, the answer becomes much more complicated. But among non-human animals, there probably wasn't one undisputed king of danger. The biggest threat changed with the situation. Alone in open country, a large cat could be disastrous. Standing over a carcass, hyenas become a serious problem. Entering the wrong cave? You'd better hope the bear moved out. Hunting mammoths? The animal you're trying to eat may be more dangerous than every predator watching you. And that's what makes the Ice Age so different from the world we know. Humans lived surrounded by animals capable of killing them. Yet eventually, those animals began avoiding us. Not because humans became stronger. A cave lion would still win that competition. Not because we became faster. We absolutely didn't. Humans changed the rules. One person spotted the predator. Another grabbed a spear. Someone maintained the fire. Others protected the children. And most importantly, knowledge survived. If a lion killed someone near a river, the survivors remembered. They told others. Children could learn where predators hunted without having to discover it themselves. A lion had claws. A hyena had jaws. A bear had strength. Humans had information. And information accumulated. So what animal was the biggest threat to Ice Age humans? There wasn't one. Cave lions were terrifying predators. Hyenas were relentless competitors. Bears made valuable shelters dangerous. Wolves competed for prey. And the giant herbivores humans hunted could kill them just as easily. But eventually, every one of those animals encountered the same problem. A human was rarely just one human. Behind that person was a group. Behind that group was fire, weapons, memory, and generations of accumulated knowledge. The Ice Age was filled with animals physically more dangerous than us. And somehow, the weakest-looking predator among them became the one they eventually learned to fear.